Welcome to Geek Made Designs. We make high-end gaming controller stands and holders, primarily for PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch products. We also have some decoration products like PlayStation button blocks and a few other things. But all of the products that we make are made out of high-end hardwoods from oak, maple, and walnut. And we put a tremendous amount of time on our finished products. So we sand our products a lot. We do natural coats on our products for sealing them so we don't stain anything. It's all just the natural color of the wood. And with that, we buy only the best products to make our products. So we have, very high-end quality CNC machines. All of our woodworking equipment is very high-end, very great products. And with that, we're really excited when we work with somebody closely like Opt Laser. They reached out to us a little bit ago, asking if we'd like to try one of their lasers on our CNC machine, give it a run, and provide feedback, and also make a video and a couple videos highlighting how we use it, how we could use it in our shop, and how we might do things a bit different. So this first video, I wanted to highlight the product itself. When we received it, kind of the unboxing, what the product looks like, the size of it. You know. Assembling it, kind of highlighting, putting it all together and getting it to work on our CNC machine. We use a CAMaster Panther CNC machine. It's a 4x4 CNC machine with a air table that allows us to just drop a piece of wood on it, holds it down, and then we mill everything there. One of the cool things about using an Opt laser is being able to connect that right to our CNC machine, and then utilizing the same products really to generate the tool pathing for it, and be able to actually machine something, and then right after that laser etch it and have it precisely laser etch where we want. So that's something that's really exciting for us to think about, and be able to do all in one fell swoop. So with that, we'll give you just kind of an update or an overview of the product itself, kind of the layout of it, as we put it on the machine, and then kind of our first test runs with it. And then I'll talk a little bit about what we'd like to do with it in the future, as we're really just getting started with this. So you can see here, this is the XT8. If you go to Opt Laser, their website, they've got a handful of different lasers. They sent us their 45 watt, which is their more powerful one, which, it's pretty amazing. You can etch with it, you can cut material with it, and you can cut super deep. A lot of the materials, we were mostly laser etching, but being able to cut 1/4 inch or more thickness in material is pretty impressive. And I've played around with it, with cutting thicker material, and again, super super impressed. So the machine that we want to put it on, as I called out earlier, we have a Panther CAMaster machine, and really just wanted to be able to put this on the side, next to our spindle. So if you kind of the unboxing, if you look at this, I just laid everything out. The Opt laser is, I'd have to pull a measurement off of it. It's probably nine or so inches tall. It's really high quality. It's not a light laser by any means. It's got some heft to it. And one of the really cool things that I liked is, you can pop it on and pop it off. It's got a little French cleat bracket that you can basically just drop it on your machine, leave it on there when you're using it, and then when you're not using it, it's really easy to just take it off and have your machine just regular to go. There's really just a couple of wires that you need to wire up to your motherboard. So in our machine, kind of figuring out the wires that we needed to basically connect with, and then route the wires up through the machine. One of the other really cool features is it's got a pass-through air, which allows it to kind of keep the smoke and even the soot away as it's laser cutting or etching, so that you don't get near the blackness that you get with some lasers. So with this, you'll notice that I've got an orange hose that kind of goes through my system. That's just an air hose to um, help clear all the smoke and everything as it's laser cutting. And then they've got their adapter pro, which is really the brains behind the machine. So hooking that up being able to control various aspects of the laser. And then, directly on my machine, I was able to utilize some of the settings I already had in my machine, the switches and whatnot. And then there is a kind of a lower power and a higher power mode on the machine that you can just flip a switch. And with the higher, to be honest, I don't know how. I'd have to I'd have to read the manual a little bit more to see when you flip the switch how much more powerful it is. But if you're just etching, you can have it in the first setting, kind of the level 1 setting. That's great for etching. And then if you're cutting wood itself, and maybe even if you're laser etching on aluminum, it may be that you're wanting to laser etch powder coated material. You may need to have it on the second setting as well. I'm not sure yet. That's something that we'll have to play around with a little bit. But it's got a couple of settings and really allows you to control the overall power. So once we had everything set up, we were able to get it mounted on our machine. It came with a universal mounting plate, and then get the hose and everything mounted. It was ready to really test it out. So it comes with a nice little aluminum bracket that allows you to just drop it on the machine, kind of help you set the Z height of the laser just for optimum height. So you can see here, just jogging it around, getting it to the height of this plate, and getting it positioned, right off a little bit off of the material itself. And then, the nice thing too, the air is coming through, kind of clearing out the smoke and kind of the burn, so that you don't get the kind of the black soot charring. And we wanted to try it out just with our logo. We put our logo on the back of about every product we sell. And usually I pull it off our CNC machine. It's a little bit of a process to do it. And now, be able to mill the top of our product and then flip it over and just laser etch right on the back. And we really this is about 1.5 inches wide. So it's a little logo. It's not a huge logo. But again, just being able to do that really quick and easy. So here you can see our logo, being able to load that in. So we use VCarve to load it, set up the toolpath with it, and then we're able to export that and import it directly into the software for CAMaster. So that was super, super easy for us to go through that process. Dial in the speeds and feeds. Took some playing around a little bit with the speed of the laser and the power of the laser, so that we can get the appropriate depth of it and just the overall look that we're looking for. So you can see in here, basically being able to load that into our software and then get it started. And, part of it too, one of the things that we're still working on a little bit is we have a laser, kind of a 0-0 laser setup on our CNC machine. And I need to do a little bit more work there to set up the preciseness where we basically jog it over, put it right in the exact location that we want it to laser, and then have it know exactly where to laser. And that's really just configuration on the machine side to be able to do that. That should be easy enough. So, with this, we're just doing some test runs. And, the laser came with some glasses, just some amber glasses. You definitely don't want to look at the laser. So, it doesn't look too bad here in the camera, but not something you want to look straight at. It is very bright. But you can see here, this is real time, being able to laser this out. And I thought it was important just to leave it real time so you can see, in our case, how fast we laser etched this. We like to have it a little dark because, this is a lighter piece. This is a maple piece of wood. We sell more walnut than anything. It's a very dark wood. So we like to have a dark, very dark laser engrave so you can see our logo. So we like it to be a little bit slower and a little hotter, just to really be able to get that. Now in here, I realized after I etched this, I didn't have the air on. So I think, we're playing around with this a little bit. You wouldn't see as much of the darkness there. It would be a bit cleaner. But even with that, we sometimes we'll play around and put some tape over it and then peel the tape off. That can be a little bit of a pain, but you can also just sand it or get a white cloth that's wet and just kind of run it over there. So I think with having the air on, it cleans it a lot better. And then just kind of our natural sanding, there's really nothing that we need to do beyond that. But you can see this takes a couple minutes for it to go in, laser etch this, and then we'll do a zoom in so you can see the actual logo here. But this was one of the first samples we want to do because I think this is what we'll use the machine for the most, is just being able, as soon as we laser etch something, to flip it over and put our logo. That said, it allows us to customize our stands. So, if somebody wants their name laser etched on the front or the back, we can do that. And one of the nice things too, we have had some customers that some of our stands, they want to laser etch their name in the front, and our stands are 3 inches deep to 6 inches deep, and you can't laser etch something that thick very often with your standard lasers. And where this is on our CNC machine, I can put our stands in here vertical, and then laser etch on the front of it. So this gives us a lot of flexibility with that Z height to be able to laser etch on some of our stands that we just couldn't do in the past. So personalization is going to be really great for us. And then being able to just do it right as we're milling these. So with that, we'll pull this out, kind of jog the machine back and zoom in. You can see a little bit of that soot in there. At least I think it's soot. I don't know what it is, but it's a little bit sticky and smoky. Sand that off. Again, didn't have the air on when we did this one, so that's something we'll have to play with a little bit more. Definitely more noticeable with maple, but it's super easy to sand it off, and then I just blow it out with an air compressor, and it works awesome. And you see there it's dark, kind of a darker black. We like that. Sometimes a lot of the laser etching we see people do it a bit faster and it's not as dark, but we really do like that dark, so we have it slow a little bit and a little higher power. And it's easy just to dial in whatever settings are best for you. So if you want it faster or slower, it's really easy in the software to set that up in the tooling and then be able to capture that as your standard settings. So, one of the other things that I just wanted to play around with how thick of material we could cut. This is something that I believe is 3/8 inch thick material. I just took a piece of maple or walnut and, cut it a bit thinner, so it's 3/8 of an inch. Most of the stuff that we work with is over 3/4 of an inch. But I wanted to see what it would take to do kind of joinery where, we may wanted to put some interlocking boxes and glue them up. So I designed something really quick, played around with the kerf, how much of a gap we needed between cutting both sides of the piece of wood and having them slide together. Again, kind of dialing that in a little bit, but it's easy to do that, run some sample tests, and then we basically cut out this little box, snapped it together with a little bit of glue, and it was really awesome. It was really easy to do. So it definitely has our mind running on what we could do with this, over and above what we use our mill for. Because one of the mill is awesome for a lot of things, but you can't do square corners. And we have a French cleat wall that we put a lot of tools and things on. And with that, the way that I mill that in the past to build our organizers for our French cleat wall, I have to go in and clear up a lot of those corners, or put a circle right in the corner so that there's no, you can't have a square piece butting up against a rounded corner, so you have to clear that out. And I'll see if I can share some examples of what I mean by that. But doing it this way with a laser, there are a lot of organizers that we can basically cut the material all on the laser, so we can get exact square corners, and things will snap together a lot more without prep work of kind of filing out, chiseling out the corners, and cleaning things up. So that's one example of things that we'd like to do in the future with this. And then also being able to precisely get it to overlay on, if we mill out a part and then want to be able to have some overlay text, and maybe, like let's say we mill a circular divot in a part and then have a laser etch go exactly around that and fit right on that circle. Those are the types of things that, we could really be a lot more precise and do some pretty cool things with this machine. So overall, Really impressed with the build quality of this laser. The company was really great to work with in sending us one. We had some questions on setup, and we're able to work with them on, getting a little better, a little more instruction from them on how to set it up and configure it for our machine, and then really just get it going. So build quality, machine, and just getting it up and running has been pretty fantastic. And now it's really on us to see where we can go with it. As I mentioned, the easy one is logos, and then just etching our logo. One thing that we have been thinking about is, when we ship our products, they're pretty high quality products. We don't make and sell thousands of stands. We do hundreds of stands, and it might be kind of fun in some cases where we work with influencers to laser etch our logo on boxes, when we ship it out. So like on cardboard, being able to laser etch our logo or messages or something. A lot of fun things that we could do with it. So really, our creativity is kind of peaking at what we can do. Really appreciate Opt Laser in sending us this to play with, and really letting us dial it in and see where we go with it and how it changes what we do, and hope to have some littler videos on our site where we highlight just some of the things we're using the laser for, and then would like to have another longer video on a project that we use it for and kind of highlight its use case. So with that, hopefully it was beneficial in seeing kind of what we've set up and what we're working on, and where the Opt Laser is beneficial for us right now. And I think it's going to evolve over time. And feel free to reach out, ask us any questions. We've played around with a couple of different lasers, and this has been by far the most powerful, and the one that I see as being the most beneficial in our shop. So it definitely has the main position for all the laser cutting and all the things that we'll do here. And then I'd love to play with the laser, or the aluminum side, where we can have some powder coated plates, and then etch the powder coating off, and utilize that in some places. We had a project we did with Astro a couple of years ago, and that was something that we had to have somebody else manufacture those for us, and now we'd be able to do those in-house. So just have some plates created, powder coated, and then drop them on our machine, and laser etch those. Could be super, super cool. So with that, hopefully that is beneficial for you. And again, let us know if you have any questions. And really excited to see where we take this in the future.